So you want to get a bigger, thicker, wider back. What do? I'm going to show you today what I have been focusing on and the lifts I have been using over the past several weeks to get a stronger, thicker, wider back. It might surprise you. Maybe it won't. Find out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 19. I almost said 18. Yeah, we're in the last 2 weeks. Week 19, heavy pull day. Today is definitely a different type of heavy pull day. This will be the last heavy session for real. I know I said that yesterday with bench and squat, but today's the last heavy lifting before the meet this weekend. And it's really going to be pretty abbreviated. We're just going to do deadlift. So not super exciting, but the goal is to just do a single heavy rep today. We'll do that at 80% of our max. So that's 390 is max that I tested at. So the heavy single will be somewhere between 310 and 315. And then we'll back off and do 2 sets of 2 at 70%, which will be 75 for me. So not a whole lot going on with the lifting portion today. We are, like I said in the video yesterday, we're backing off or ramping down. We're focusing on form and technique today, just getting our central nervous system one last kind of exposure to lifting, but then we're going to rest the rest of the week. I'll probably do some stretching, maybe some golfing. We'll see, but we're really just going to take it easy, focus on the water cut for the rest of the week, and go into this weekend recovered and not fatigued. So today, what we're going to talk about in between lifts, the topic today is growing your back. How do you get a thick middle section of your back? How do you grow your back wider? What are the lifts that I would choose? What are the lifts I'm currently doing? Because back thickness and width is something that I'm currently actually trying to increase. As I look at my physique and I look at my 1 rep maxes and I look at my strength, I notice that my back is an area that could improve. I think I've just over the years maybe have favored chest and legs a little bit more than back. And so during this cut, I've been focusing on that. And that's certainly something after I'm done cutting, when I get back into maintenance or a bulking phase, I will continue to work on. So today I'm going to show you my favorite lifts and the lifts that I believe are the most effective at getting a stronger, thicker, wider back. All right, similar to our other squat and bench yesterday, we're just going to warm up similarly with lightweight 10 reps, and then we'll just start ramping up the weight, ramping down the reps. 155 here. All right, I'm just going to do the same weight again. I had to go up and talk to a contractor, and honestly, moving the weight around on deadlift is just a little bit more of an annoyance. So I'm just going to do 155 for 10 one more time. Just continue the warm up. The warm-up set, we've got 225 loaded on here. So this is pretty typical of what my normal warm-up set would be: 50%, 50%, and 75%. I may have 1 or 2 more stops on the way up just to ramp up a little bit, but it's pretty typical. So what are the lifts I would recommend? What are the lifts I've been doing to work on my back? If you've been watching my channel for a while, if you've been watching my push-pull legs routine, it won't surprise you to know that deadlift is probably the number one thing. That is my main compound lift for pull day. Now you may be wondering, why are you considering deadlift a back workout? Well, because it is. A lot of people say, well, it's mostly your posterior chain, like your glutes and your hamstrings and your legs. And yes, that's true. But it's your core, it's your pecs, it's your arms, but it's a lot of your back as well, especially the mid back, the erectus, whatever it's called. And then also your traps when you're lifting, even more than shoulder shrugs. It's going to work your traps. And then it's going to use the lats for stabilization. So I love deadlift for back. Deadlift, I've said it before, is one of the most full body movements that you can do. It engages so many muscles, so you get so much bang for your buck. But one of those things that you're paying for, that you're getting, is your back. And I would classify this as back thickness, right? You're working on that middle back, your traps. You're working on not necessarily a vertical movement is what you would do to grow the width of your lats. But this type of motion, like, that's going to be working on the thickness and just the overall strength of your back. So it's going to look good in the middle of your back. It's going to be nice and thick. When you get down to a low body fat percentage, you'll get the Christmas tree. I don't know if I have that right now. Maybe we'll do some posing later and you can see. But so, number one, deadlifts. I'm just throwing some more weight on there. I threw on 25s. So I think we should be at 225. It's 275 now. And so we'll do that for a couple of times. And then maybe I think we'll jump up to 300 or so, or straight to 315. We'll see. There are, of course, variations of the deadlifts that you can do. First variation being Romanian deadlift, and that is going to more isolate your posterior chain. So you're not going all the way to the ground. Goodness. One sec. Romanian deadlifts are going to be isolating the posterior chain. It is a hinge movement, less back, but still some back stabilization involved. Second variation will be sumo. That's when you're wider leg, and that's going to actually do less of your hamstrings. It's going to recruit your quads more, but it's also going to work. It's going to use your back muscles similarly to conventional, maybe less of a pulling movement because you're in an upright position when you do sumo versus more hinging, but still, it's all good. All right, one more stop before we get up to 315. We're at 305. This is, I think, the weight that I've been doing for reps lately. So I am just going to do a heavy single here on our way up to 315. And it shouldn't be too heavy of a single. This is probably 75% of the 1 rep max. All right. So I won't be doing any other lifts today other than deadlift. We've got one more set of a heavy single, and then we'll do 2 sets of 2 at a lighter weight. But I will go ahead and talk about the other pull back focus lifts that I would do. I'll just name a couple of them. We're not going to go through all the things that you could possibly do. Again, I like focusing on bang for buck. If I had to boil it down to, 3 or so lifts, what are the ones that I would focus on? And so after we get the next set of deadlifts here, we'll talk about the second lift that I would prioritize for back strength and size. Let's get our last heavy single. Well, I guess really our first one. Everything up until here has been a ramp up for our warm up. So we've got 315 and we're just going to do this once. Again, the idea is this week that it's almost like a deload. We're lowering the volume way, way, way down. We don't want to add significant stress or fatigue because we want to be nice and recovered when we're going into the weekend. But I do want to still give my muscles one last little taste, and my central nervous system and my tendons and connective tissue and joints. Just one last little taste of lifting heavy before we take a break. All right. As always, stick around to the end of the video because we'll do the daily check-in. We'll look at the weigh-in for today. We'll look at the nutrition from yesterday. We'll also talk about all the water that I drink and how many times I went pee, since I'm in a water loading phase before the water cut. And then I'll also, it's not like a huge pump that we're getting, but we'll do a quick physique update. Stick around for that. We've got a couple more sets of deadlifts, and that'll be a short, sweet video for today. All right, my second favorite lift or exercise for the back is really, I would just say any vertical movement. That's kind of a cheating way of saying it. If I had to pick one, I'd say pull-ups. I love pull-ups for working on lat width. Let's see, can you see that? Definitely wider than shoulder width. Don't have to go all the way wide. I would prefer wider than narrower. I like to go just in there, in between. And if you can do a full body weight pull-up strict, that is my number one pick. Lat pull downs are a close second. You get a little bit more isolation, a little bit more control. You can obviously do less weight. So if you're unable to do a body weight pull-up, that is certainly an option. If you're unable to do a body weight pull-up, they also have those machines at a lot of gyms that you kneel on them and they can do things. And then you can also use bands. And I'll show you what that looks like if you need to. If you can't do a full body weight pull-up on your own, you can use a band to assist you. But vertical movements are anytime that you're pulling downward like that. And those are going to work your lats greatly. And so that's going to help you build the width of your lats. Chin-ups are fine too. Chin-ups would be supinated grip, but I prefer a double overhand wide-ish type of grip for working on that lat size, lat width. And the same thing goes for the lat pull down. You can do supinated. I prefer a wider double overhand, but obviously do what is most comfortable for you if you have any kind of joint impairments or issues to pay attention to. And then I think I'll do a bonus lift exercise at the end. It is another type of vertical movement that gets overlooked in today's programming. So first exercise was deadlift. Second one is pull-ups. And we'll talk about a third, and then I think I'll do a bonus one at the end. Here, we're doing 2 sets of 2. So just 2 sets. We're down at 275, 2 reps here. So if you've never done band-assisted pull-ups, let me show you what you do. Get a band. Obviously, the thicker the band, the more assist. All you do is you feed it through up top, so you can do that. And the idea is that you can put your knee or your foot or something in here, depending on your stature and how high the bar is and stuff. You may need, my bar is quite low because my ceilings are low. You may need a stool to assist you getting up, which is another option. If you have a stool, you can always just try your best to just do 1 foot on the ground and then just pull while trying to keep 10% of your weight on your leg. That's another very easy thing that you can do. Again, a stool or a chair. I like the band because it's less about you gauging how much pressure you're putting. And you can just quantify it by, oh, I did the green band. I'm going to move up to the black band next week. Or the green band isn't enough. I'm going to do the black band because it's thicker. So you just put your knee in, go down, and you can do a pull-up, right? And I'm getting quite the assist from the band here. So that is a great way to start working on your pull-ups if you're unable to do a full body weight pull-up. And I would say you really need to be able to do a few body weight pull-ups to be able to get an exercise. Doing just one is probably not a good indication that you can do that as a workout. I like to do 4 to 6 reps is the lowest rep range that I do. So I would say use that as a minimum. You need to be able to do at least ideally 4 for 3 sets of 4. But love the band as an assistant. And then you can go the other way. Once you don't need the band, you can do more volume, more reps. Once you get above 10, I don't really love higher than, I don't like going into the teens because I don't think it's as efficient for hypertrophy. I like sticking in that 6 to 8 to 10 at the max. That's kind of what I like to use at the upper end. Really like that 8 to 10 is like the hypertrophy gold standard or whatever. But my point in saying that is once you get to that, you can do over 10, then you need to start thinking about adding a weight belt, doing weighted pull-ups, right? So right now, I think I've added 10 pounds, so not much, but by adding 10 pounds, it's getting a heavier stimulus. I can keep the reps down below 10 and feel like I'm getting a good workout. And then eventually it'll be great because I'll be able to see my progressive overload. And then next thing I'll be doing 15 pounds and then 20 pounds. This is our last set. We're just one more set of deadlifts here. This is our second set of 2. So I love deadlift for overall strength and back thickness. I really love lat pull downs and pull-ups for lat width. But the third exercise that I really love for back strength, and this one is really going to focus on mid back thickness, is just bent over barbell rows. Get in a bent over position. You don't have to be quite 90. If you can get to 90, great. Sometimes I like to put on a belt for a little bit of extra back stability, but you want to feel like you are bent over and that you are being able to not pulling like this. You want to be able to pull basically at a 90 degrees. So if you get all the way down here, it's a little harder on your back. Here's a little bit more stable, but you want to feel like you can pull 90 degrees to your back. And you're pulling straight back, tucking those elbows in. Right? So you should feel that in your lats differently than what you feel in a pull. And you should definitely feel that in the middle of your back. Let's see if I can move the camera around. You can see it from this angle. So again, and then over. Hands are just outside of shoulder width, what they would be for deadlift or cleans or any of those kinds of lifts. Bend over. Pull straight back. I'm not flaring my elbows. Trying to keep my elbows more in. And that is a great workout. If you've heard me talk about the 5x5 routine, these barbell rows are one of the lifts that I include in that because it's a barbell lift. It is recruiting other parts of your core, so I consider it more of like a compound. But really, between deadlift and that, you can get a lot accomplished in your back strength. Throw in some pull-ups, and yeah, you're talking about a great recipe for a strong, thick, wide back, as long as you are consistent with it and you are progressively overloading. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I promised you a bonus exercise. We talked about deadlift for overall strength and back thickness. We talked about pull-ups or lat pull-downs for lat width. And we talked about barbell rows, bent over barbell rows for additional back strength, but also middle back thickness. And then I promise you another one, and that is my good friend, the dumbbell pullover. I think that this is one of the most, let's see if I can get some lighting here. The most underrated lifts, guys. No one does these anymore. This is like an old school bodybuilding type thing. Arnold Schwarzenegger, may have heard of him, loved these because you get a nice, such a good stretch in your lats. And it's just slightly different stimulus than what you're able to get with a pull-up or a lat pull-down, right? And depending on how you do it, if you bend your arms a little bit and don't go quite as far back, you can also get triceps and chest out of this workout as well. But I like trying to keep my arms straight and trying to go as far back as I can, as feels comfortable. And I just love the stretch that I get. And that's a key part of hypertrophy that a lot of people miss, is that time under tension is critical. And one of the things that you can do that with is the eccentric part, the lengthening part of a stretch is very important. When you hear people talk about full range of motion, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about getting the full extension of the muscle and then contracting and bringing it down, right? And so I love that. Some of the old school bodybuilders also thought that this would expand your chest, pull your ribs apart a little bit. I don't think that's actually been proven, but definitely does wonders for strength and I think hypertrophy for your lats. That's the bonus. Stick around for the check-in, and I'll just do a little quick physique update. So my lats, definitely something that I wish were a little bit wider, something that I am working on. So like in my double bicep, trying to push my arms forward and spread them like that. Wish that's something I'm working on. And then just talking about overall back. So yeah, everyone has places to improve. That's one area that I'm actively working on. And so one of the reasons why I do these physique updates, so I can look back in 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 16 weeks, a year, 2 years, look back and see, and hopefully I can see, oh yeah, my back is getting a little bit bigger. Because you don't see those from day to day. Those changes take time. We've talked about that on this channel before. It is slow, steady progress. Consistency beats intense output on any given day. Showing up, getting a good routine, trying your best to do a little bit better than last week. And over time, you will see results. Let's do the daily check-in. We weighed in today at 182.8. Thumbs up. I was concerned that we'd be going up because I drank considerably more water yesterday, but that means that my body is keeping up with flushing it out. So it's a good sign. It means that my ADH level, that's your anti-diuretic hormone. So that's being suppressed, meaning that I have more diuresis, more peeing, right? More urination. So that's good. That's what your water loading is supposed to get that going, so that then when you shut off the water, you keep flushing out, no more water is coming in, and you dehydrate yourself essentially. Now obviously you don't want to dehydrate yourself to a dangerous level. You still drink some water, just you go from drinking 2 gallons to half a gallon or even less. So weight is good, 182.8. So I really technically only need to lose 1 more pound to make weight. And so that should be easily done. I might not even have to do a full water cut on Friday. I may be able to drink a normal amount of water. That would be great. I would probably have better performance on the powerlifting meet on Sunday, if that's the case. Yesterday's calories, just under 1,800. a little lower on the protein, 163 grams. That's all right. I was trying to bump up carbs and sodium. Didn't quite get sodium up to the 5,000 to 6,000 level that I wanted. But you know what? I also think that some of this stuff is probably underreported. Like there's probably way more than just a couple hundred milligrams of sodium in this chicken noodle soup. Not too concerned about it today. I will try and get a little bit more sodium today if I can. But this week, again, I am wanting to be still in a calorie deficit. I am still in a cut. This is the second to last week of the cut, but I'm not going all the way down to 1350 to 1500 calories last week. 1500 to 1700. As you can see, I went over a little bit. So I feel like that's a moderate deficit for me. It should be about, let's see, if I'm 2500 is my maintenance, that's really just a little over 500, 700 to 750 calorie deficit. And to me, I am able to, at least yesterday, I wasn't feeling famished or low energy or anything like that. So I should be able to do that for kind of the rest of this week. That's the plan. Today, I just want to have almost a carbon copy of yesterday with maybe just a little bit more protein and a little bit more sodium. Maybe another reason why I didn't feel super famished was because I got 6.3 liters of water, which is around, I've got a tab pulled up, one sec, somewhere. That's just over a gallon. So not quite, I want to be between 1.5 to 2 gallons. So that's 1.5 would be 5.6 liters, 2 gallons would be 7.5. So that's why I shot for, if I hit 6, then I know I'm in there. If I get to 7, that's great. That'd be enough as well. So lots of water. Today, been keeping track of my coffee this morning. Got a little bit more of that to drink, got my water bottles. And so I will be doing that. Just one more day of water loading. Tomorrow I will have more normal water day, which will be these 3 liters. And then I will drop it down on Thursday and Friday. So that's the plan. What do you think will make weight on Saturday? I'm feeling better about it than I was 4 weeks ago, I can tell you that. So we will just have, this is the last workout of the week. May do a golfing session, and then maybe we'll check in again later in the week. Certainly on weigh-in day and the meet day, we'll check in. A little bit weirder of a week. And then next week is the last week of the cut. We will do more normal workouts, and I will also film. I need to double check, make sure that they will let me film the DEXA scan. That would be cool. I will at least film when I get there and when I leave at the very least, just to give you all a nice update on where we landed on the 20-week cut, what the body fat percentage got down to, what the body weight got down to, all of that. But we're getting close. We're getting close. And then after that, we'll take a little bit of a break, kind of do some vacationing. And then we will pick back up on weightlifting, nutrition, talk about mini diets or mini cuts when we get back in late March, early April, something like that. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. Please like, subscribe. If you've watched this much, you're probably already subscribed. So thank you for that. I very much appreciate it. And we'll see you later this week.